Peace to you and yours wherever you may be. I love you. I continually for free. I want to talk about Usman and Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez and Usman potentially fighting one another, and why I think that is a great fight, and why I think that UFC President Dana White does not want to see that fight in a boxing match. Basically, Dana White, to be fair to him, Dana White was not gangbusters for Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather, at first. But the UFC made a lot of money off of that fight. Conor McGregor made a lot of money off that fight. And of course, Mayweather made the lion's share of the money from that promotion. The thing is, when you look at the dynamics of it, Usman and Canelo have more, it's more legitimate of a fight than Conor McGregor and Mayweather. The problem is, it's not Usman's personality to talk himself into that fight. McGregor talked himself into that fight. He made it possible with his attitude, with his brashness, with his the dirtiest part of the posteriorness of his personality. Okay, that is a big factor here, and that's also what bumped the money up. We cannot ignore the racial component in that fight. There was a whole lot of people who really wanted to see Conor McGregor beat Floyd Mayweather for racial pride. That brought the money up. Okay, I know some folks would disagree with that, but you are disagreeing with that for the same reasons why people would want to see Conor McGregor beat Floyd Mayweather. It's from your politics. I'm looking at it as a promoter. I'm looking at the money. I'm looking at what's the possibility here to milk every single dollar that you can out of the thing. But in terms of fight credentials, in terms of weight, in terms of chin, in terms of the possibility that he could actually prevail, Usman has a better chance of beating Canelo Alvarez than Conor McGregor ever had of beating Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather's pedigree, his history, is much better than Canelo Alvarez at this point. Canelo may catch him in terms of the types of champions that he's fought, his overall accomplishments, but he'll never get that he'll never get that because Floyd gave him a loss. And let's not forget the fact that Floyd was 13 years older than Canelo when he beat him. And it wasn't even close. He smoked Canelo Alvarez. Okay? Canelo knows that. The whole world knows that. You know what I mean? If it would be close, then we could make the argument that, hey, what you're saying, Blaine, it's not as impactful because, hey, it was a close fight. It could have went either way. But, had that fight been 2 rounds longer, Mayweather might have stopped Canelo in that fight. But anyway, that's not our point here. Usman has a much better chin than Conor McGregor has in the weight class that he fights in. Usman has cleaned out his division. Usman has fought his Khabib when Conor McGregor was running away from Khabib so he could make the Mayweather fight. And well, he should. That was brilliant. I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. But he was running from Khabib at that point, just like he has run and will run from Justin Gaethje. Check my earlier video on that. Conor McGregor wants no smoke from Justin Gaethje. But anyway, Usman has cleaned out the top of his division. Okay, he has beat the very best in his division twice as of last night. And I found it very interesting that Dana White, when asked about a possible fight between Usman and Canelo, he says he who should have Usman's best interest at heart in all respects said, I saw the Canelo fight and Usman doesn't want to fight Canelo. Now, this is the top guy in your promotion who you later on went on to say that he is making a case to be the pound for pound best welterweight of all time. No, you said he is the best welterweight of all time. He's making the case to be the pound for pound fighter in MMA right now. A guy who probably made a little over $1 million, less than $2 million for the fight that he had last night. Now let's just think about that. Conor McGregor made somewhere around $100 million to fight Mayweather. Mayweather made $200 to $300 million in that fight. Canelo made $40 million in his fight against Plant. Plant made $10 million. Plant, you were robbed, bro. You were robbed. You deserve at least another $5 million to fight that fight. Okay? Because what you had, Canelo wanted it just as bad as you wanted that fight. And why you weren't able to get 15 million or 20 million and Canelo, take 30 or 35, I don't get that. I feel like you were in the right place at the right time. You brought enough to the table to command, some more money. But anyway, Canelo Alvarez's star power is similar to Mayweather. It may even be equal to Mayweather in some respects. This is a fight that needs to happen. Canelo did not stop Plant. Canelo did not stop Plant. Canelo stopped the fighter he fought before Plant, whose name I can't remember. I told y'all, what's his name? Billy Joe. I told y'all I suffer from that. I can't remember things sometimes. It'd be on the tip of my tongue. I can see the person's face. I can even almost see their name, but I can't. But Billy Joe, whatever his name is, the guy from England, he stopped that guy, but he didn't stop Plant. Okay. Last night, Usman did not stop whatever that guy's name is. But in general, Usman stops his fighters. And he has an incredible chin. And he has good striking. And if Conor McGregor can go 8 rounds with the best of the best, Floyd Money Mayweather, then I believe Usman can go the distance with Canelo Alvarez. And I believe that that's at least $150 million fight in Dubai or the Emirates or in Beijing. I feel like you need to make this fight. I feel like Usman is the guy who has to connect the dots here. He has to talk his way into this fight, and I believe that he should walk away with at least 50 million of that. You know, I personally think, you know, this is my honest feeling, that in terms of its magnitude and its competitiveness, it is far more competitive a fight and at least of the same magnitude as the Mayweather-McGregor fight. But this is from a person who is a true combat sports, you know, fan. You know what I mean? I watch combat sports like some people watch football or baseball or, you know, basketball or whatever, you know. And so, you know, I don't get all, you know, I don't get interested in a fight based upon what somebody said about somebody else's mama or their wife or something like that. I'm looking at the skill set. I'm looking at the competitiveness of the fight. That's what makes me interested in it or not. If they never said anything, I can watch the fight with the you know, with the sound all the way off, muted, and enjoy the fight. You know, so I don't even, you know, I don't need that. So I think in terms of competitiveness, this fight is definitely worth happening. I believe it's a big money fight, and that brings me to why I think Dana White would not want to see that fight happen. And why, and more importantly than that, why he would speak against it in the way that he did, where, you know, he basically belittled the possibility or the skills of his fighter, when he actually felt that Conor McGregor had a chance to beat Floyd Mayweather, which is what he should have been saying, because even if he didn't believe it, he's supposed to say that because that's who you represent. It's sort of like, you know, if you're an attorney, you know, you don't go in there and say, you know, I think my client is guilty and he should get the highest possible sentence. You know, you say, my client is not guilty, you know, and if your client is pleading guilty, then you should say, hey, he should get the lowest possible sentence. And this is what it ought to be. You know, he didn't do that with Usman. He cut Usman's, you know, he cut Usman at the knees by saying that he was not, you know, he didn't believe he was capable of fighting Canelo. And the reason why I believe he wants to do that is because he's not trying to build a bunch of super rich, super powerful MMA stars. That's not their business model. And I think I believe that he is a racist as well. Let me just go on record as saying that. But, you know, that would, you know, I would have to go into his treatment of many of the different stars of the UFC by race and what he, you know, what he has done with them, you know, and how he has promoted them and what type of opportunities he's made, you know, for them. And I'm not prepared to make that argument here today. I may do a video on that in the future if y'all show a lot of interest in it or want to debate on that. You know, we could do that. But anyway, I think just in general with the business model, he's not trying to make a whole bunch of people like that. You know, Conor McGregor should be transitioning at this point the same way Khabib is into his own promotion. You know, Conor McGregor should have a promotion that rivals the UFC. You know, and Usman and some of the other you know, big superstars in the UFC could have and should have done the same thing. Daniel Cormier, you know, what's the brother's name? Adesanya. Adesanya can transition out of MMA into you know, boxing and be a super fighter. You know, make that big money. Go make $30 million, $40 million, $50 million for one fight, especially if he wins. And you see what's going on with Silva right now. You know, Silva is so dangerous in terms of I'm talking about fighters who are in boxing right now in their prime. Silva can come in and ruin your career, not even by beating you, but just by being competitive. He can cut your money. You know, Dana White doesn't want that. The UFC doesn't want that. And this thing with the UFC of saying that, hey, you know, we're running a business, it's a real business, and boxing is always a fire sale. They cut all, you know, it's always a going out of business. Every promotion is a going out of business sale. So it's not a real business, but we're in a real business. Blase, skippity, skip, whatever. Listen, you went from a $5 million, $20 million company all the way up to a $4-5 billion company. Dana White had no money in it. Dana White, look him up. Dana White is worth $300 to $500 million and never got punched in the face one time. Dana White is not in danger of being punch drunk later on in his life. He has no injuries from getting in the ring. And for him to sit up here and act like the people who are risking their lives are being ridiculous, and he's made more money than everybody in the sport, most of them put together, with the exception of Conor McGregor. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's hellified salesmanship. I got to give it to him on that, boy. He be selling his ass off, you know. But I ain't buying. And a lot of people who got sense ain't buying. Y'all got the money to pay these people better and to do right by the people, and you need to. Anyway, peace to you and yours, wherever you may be. I love you for free, and we want to see Canelo and Usman. Guidance.